As a quasi-nostalgia bait channel, I like to look back on all the things that I loved growing up, and alongside my love of fighting games and beat-em-ups, if that wasn't obvious already, I was also a really huge fan of strategy games. Now, I didn't have the greatest PC growing up, but my weak-ass PC was able to run some of the finest strategy games of all time. StarCraft, Warcraft 3, Command & Conquer Generals. These were absolute titans of the genre, but the strategy game I really fell in love with back then was Rome Total War. If you're not familiar with Rome Total War, this game basically redefined the entire strategy game genre. Most strategy games at the time were full real-time affairs. You trained one unit at a time, constructed buildings on the map, and you did your warring from there. Rome Total War, on the other hand, had a whole overworld map that was sliced up into various regions, each of which had a capital that you built turn by turn. From your constructed cities, you trained soldiers and sent them out to do battle. When you met the enemy in combat, though, you dropped into a real-time battle map where the fight unfurled in 100% real time. The scale of these battles could be completely insane too. Potentially thousands of men could be clashing on the battlefield. These battles were epic as hell, even more so since you could just be right there in the middle of the fight absorbing everything. The chorus of men clashing in the field, the snap of the archer's bow firing upon your enemies, and the thundering charge of cavalry as they crash into unsuspecting infantrymen. I got this game and my first ever personal PC on Christmas 2004, but what actually inspired me to get into this game was not seeing it in a store or via some rad commercial, but via a very cool television show called Decisive Battles. Decisive Battles was a History Channel show that aired in mid-2004. This was back in the History Channel's heyday when they actually tried to make programs that were actually about history as opposed to alien conspiracy theories and pawn shops. The show's premise was pretty simple and summed up perfectly by the introduction.
Now, with new video game technology, you are about to see this great battle as never before. The vast numbers of soldiers, the troop formations, how they fought, and how the battle was won. Get the view the generals wish they had. Now, for Decisive Battles.
Using new video game technology, Decisive Battles would give you a virtual, on-the-ground view of the famous battles of antiquity, most of which were incredibly critical to the development of history as a whole. Through its 13 episodes, Decisive Battles was hosted by one Matthew Settle, whose very serious tone gave a nice gravity to the battles being presented here.
I'm Matthew Settle. In 334 BC, Alexander, king of the tiny Greek kingdom of Macedon, crossed this neck of water and headed east into the mighty Persian Empire ruled by Darius III.
They'd also utilize Settle to tour the modern-era battlefield, on top of delivering the occasional anecdote about the events surrounding a battle.
Hippias did not have a happy homecoming. As he jumped ashore, he had a coughing fit and spat out a tooth. When he looked for it in the sand, he couldn't find it. And he took this as a sign from the gods that he would not regain his kingdom. Traditional phalanx formation.
Matthew, get out of there, there's a battle about to start. Even better on the audio front, the show just uses the Rome Total War OST, so you get all of those god-tier tracks composed by Jeff Van Dyke. Why Creative Assembly ever let this guy go, I'll never fucking know. Which, you know, these tracks are absolutely perfect. This is probably coming off more like a Rome Total War review, but the OST in Rome is absolutely amazing. It has tracks for the lead up to the fight itself, and the aftermath too, all of which work perfectly here. Not content to just use the game engine for combat though, you'll also get the occasional city viewer segment too, which is a thing I don't think C has done since the original Rome Total War. There's also a handful of live action segments to help change up things for the viewers too. Of course, various historians will also chime in with their knowledge and expertise on the given battle too. Really, this show was a stellar way to learn about the battles of antiquity. They went 100% all out for this one. As a veteran of Rome Total War now, though, there are a few things that I've noticed that are a bit awry in the show versus the actual game, for better and for worse in certain cases. For one, they definitely inserted random sound effects during the combat sequences. If you've ever played Rome Total War, they blatantly stick out.
By powerful arrows from thousands of composite bows.
Yeah, nice stock sound effects there, History Channel. Also, that's definitely not the in-game javelin throwing sound. I do like it though, it's very sharp. That's not a death sentence, of course, it's just kind of like hearing the Wilhelm scream, you know? Another thing I noticed is there are quite a few unique models and model skins for certain units in the show. You see the Marathon episode, as an example, while it does feature the in-game hoplites, like these Greek cities ones or these Macedonian ones. Wait, Macedon didn't even have armored hoplites in the game, but I guess that's just a simple color swap. But these black and red hoplites on top of these green shield ones are 100% unique, not in the game at all, at least not to my knowledge. Well, there's still the armored hoplite model that's seen in-game, but still, all these shields are unique. And even though the in-game Spartan hoplite has its own model, it has a totally unique skin for this show too, one that I'd actually consider better than the in-game one too. A few of the units in the Kadesh episode are 100% unique too, mainly all these Hittite guys. They're definitely not in the game at all. Decisive Battles also shows off several 3D models of the game's naval units, which in Rome Total War, there are no naval battles. You can only auto-resolve those and pray to Neptune and Mars that you win them, which these are a nice touch for sure, but I ponder if these skins are buried in the code somewhere, and maybe naval battles were planned for this one at some point, but it just didn't work out. Maybe all this stuff is out there somewhere, or just buried deep in the game's files. Anyway, I think I gotta end this video here, basically. After all, not much of a point in making a clickbait video on a one-season TV show that probably you only enjoyed. Sadly, Decisive Battles only got out 13 episodes total before its inevitable cancellation. If you're curious, though, the show did manage to cover 13 great battles in antiquity. These battles included Marathon, Thermopylae, select battles of the Third Servile War, Chalons, Carrhae, Adrianople, Cynocephalae, Watling Street, Kadesh, and Teutoburg Forest. Which, I can't lie, I think the show is actually a great cross-section of both history and entertainment, which really that's what the History Channel should be all about. Imagine, though, had this show continued beyond Rome Total War. I mean, Medieval 2 Total War wasn't really far behind Rome. Just imagine the glut of battles that could be covered with that game. Tours, the Crusades, Hastings, the Siege of Orleans, Agincourt. There was a ton of potential there. Years later, Empire Total War would be released, and we could cover stuff like Waterloo or Saratoga. Hell, Shogun 2 would come 7 years after Rome alongside its expansion pack and Fall of the Samurai, which could have covered battles all throughout the Sengoku Jidai and the Boshin War too. Then there was the 2019 Three Kingdoms game, which could have given us a ton of battles centered around, well, the Three Kingdoms era of Chinese history. So there was tons of potential with this franchise. Why the History Channel let this one go? I couldn't tell you. It's the sort of series that could have been around for years and years to come. Really, there was no amount of battles they couldn't cover, especially as Total War evolved. Since the History Channel got so obsessed with fiction too, well, there's an assload of lore battles in the old world of Warhammer Fantasy Battle that could be a series too. I mean, why not, really? But I'm kind of stalling now, since this isn't a terribly long video. Guess I can truly end here. Really, not much else to be said. You can watch the entirety of this series on YouTube, actually, as the entirety of the series has been uploaded onto a YouTube channel called Zacharias Rowland Jones. Thanks a bunch, man. You really saved a good television show here. Please let me know in the comments if you think this series could have spanned the entirety of the Total War games that came after Rome 1. And that'll be the end of this video. As always, dearest of viewers, my name is HadesManticore, and this here channel is CityStateManticore. Thanks a ton for watching if you did. Be sure to drop a fat like and a comment too for fun. Be sure to subscribe too, since, as always, there's more content to come. I'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.